Welcome to the Daily Decant, your 5-minute briefing on the world of wine. Each episode delivers practical insights to help you choose, order, and talk about wine with more confidence in everyday social settings. Let's get into today's decant. Today we're going somewhere completely different, somewhere remote, dramatic, and unlike any other wine region we've covered on the show. We're going to Priorat, a small appellation in the mountains of Catalonia that produces some of the most concentrated, mineral, and polarizing wines in Spain, and that has one of the most extraordinary reinvention stories in the recent history of wine. Priorat is tiny, about 2,000 hectares of vineyards, and for comparison, Rioja has around 65,000. It sits in a series of steep, terraced valleys in the mountains southwest of Barcelona, in terrain so rugged and difficult that the ancient monks who first planted vines here in the 12th century must have had either extraordinary faith or extraordinary stubbornness. By the 1970s and early 80s, the region had been almost entirely abandoned. The steep slopes made mechanization impossible, yields were tiny, and the economics of farming here made no sense. The vineyards that remained were some of the most ancient in Spain, gnarly, ungrafted, head-trained Garnacha and Cariñena vines, some over 100 years old, growing in soils so poor they looked like rubble. These soils are the key to everything in Priorat. They're called llicorella, a local word for the ancient, fractured volcanic slate and quartzite that dominates the region. This is one of the most distinctive soil types of any wine region in the world. The slate is dark, almost black, and it absorbs heat during the day and releases it at night, creating a natural thermal regulation around the vine roots. More importantly, it's extraordinarily poor in nutrients. The vines have to push their roots 20, 30, sometimes 40 feet deep to find water and sustenance. Those stressed, deep-rooted vines produce tiny yields of fruit with extraordinary concentration and a characteristic mineral quality, a kind of iron and graphite character that's entirely unique to the place. When people talk about terroir as a real, tangible thing rather than a marketing concept, Priorat is one of the places they point to as proof. The reinvention. In 1987, a winemaker named René Barbier arrived in the Priorat with a small group of friends: Alvaro Palacios, Daphne Glorian, Carles Pastrana, and Joseph Luis Perez, and they formed what became known as the Quintet. They recognized what the ancient vines and the extraordinary llicorella soils could produce, invested in restoring abandoned terraces, and began making wines that introduced Priorat to the world. The wines were immediately recognized as extraordinary, powerful, concentrated, mineral, completely original. Within a decade, Priorat went from an obscure, abandoned region to only one of two DOCA appellations in Spain, the highest quality classification alongside Rioja. The producers you need to know include Alvaro Palacios, whose La Ermita is one of the most sought-after and expensive wines in Spain. His more accessible Les Terrasses is the entry point to the range and an excellent value. Clos Mogador from René Barbier, himself the wine that started it all, still one of the benchmarks of the appellation. Mas D'Oie, outstanding quality and one of the better values in the region at around $50 to $80, and Clos d'Elbach from Carles Pastrana of Costers del Serrano. A note on price is that Priorat is not cheap. The top bottles, La Ermita from Alvaro Palacios, Clos Mogador, sell for hundreds of dollars. But the entry-level and second wines from these estates, Les Terrasses, Carmel del Priorat, offer a genuine window into the region's extraordinary character at $25 to $40. And Mas D'Oie, at this tier, is one of the most intellectually satisfying wines in Spain. Practical takeaway for today is that Priorat is the Spanish wine you serve when you want to genuinely impress someone who knows wine, and the Spanish wine you drink when you want to be reminded why place matters above everything else. It's not a wine for casual Tuesday evenings, but for the right occasion, it's unforgettable. And here's something worth knowing. The prices, while high by Spanish standards, are still dramatically lower than comparable wines from Burgundy, the Northern Rhone, or Napa Valley. A $50 Priorat from Mas D'Oie or Les Terrasses is competing with wines that cost 3 to 4 times that price from other regions. The slate, the ancient vines, and the drama of the landscape is in the glass. This is what makes Priorat worth understanding. Tomorrow, we completely shift gears and go to the ocean, Albarino, and the white wines of Galicia. A total tonal shift from everything we've covered so far. Don't miss it. That's today's Daily Decant. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and share with your friends so you can continue building your wine knowledge in just a few minutes a day. See you tomorrow for the next Decant.